Let's now head to the Senate, where Edo North Senator Adamso Shomole got into a dramatic, fiery interaction with the former financial officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, Umar Issa, where he called for the immediate arrest of the NNPC's past group CEO, Mele Kyari. Well, according to Shomole on Wednesday, Kyari must be brought before the Senate Committee on Public Accounts, dead or alive, to answer questions about what happened to 210 trillion naira in unaccounted funds between 2017 and 2023. Let's take a look.
NNPC has no reputation. Your reputation is for fraud. How can you sit us to our face and you say people want their children to be
because you are a senator does not mean you should sit here and be abusing
do you think we are
the
children?
whole people in NNPC and us here.
Mr. Chairman, we need to make no wait. Don't do that. Wait. When a senator has the floor, please allow me to land, and I will land nicely. I listen. I hear you say people want their children to be employed in NNPC. Yes, because it's a house of thieves. And they want their children to benefit from it. Yeah, so you don't say those things. Number two, because of the way in which the country and certain institutions have been run, they see themselves as bigger than Nigeria. I hold the view that the law is effective when it catches a lion, not when you descend on a rat or a rabbit, a man who stole a rat or a rabbit. And that's the crisis of Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, this committee must have the courage, the will to deploy its powers as enunciated in the Nigerian Constitution and issue warrant, not tomorrow, today, and bring Mele Kyari, even dead or alive, in law. They will call habeas corpus. Even if he's dead, we want to see the body. And he will account. And you should say, here lies a man who died without accounting for his alleged crime that rose into trillions of naira. We are not talking of billions of naira. At the time when the country is borrowing money, we have huge sums of money that have not been accounted for. There are serious issues not raised by laymen, raised by competent auditors. And the man is joking. Where did he have the money to pay for his medical bill in Germany? Those who are dying here, what happens to them? So I think that it is not for us to try to amend the rules that we have already agreed on. Having failed repeatedly, a serious failure, we cannot condone it.
All right. Ayo, Oshomole cannot be more correct. Let me borrow Dr. Abati's words. Now, the CFO of NNPC, Umar Issa...
Copyright belongs to Professor Akitere.
Okay. Cannot be more correct. Cannot be more correct. Now, the CFO of NNPC, Umar Issa, was seen there challenging the allegations, insisting that the 210 trillion naira figure being discussed is misleading, especially compared with what the company made during that period. Well, after a vote, the chairman of the committee ruled that Kyari should in fact be arrested and brought to the panel. Your thoughts?
Okay. So, why is Mele Kyari? I think that's a big question for a lot of Nigerians, because this is not the first time that the NNPCL has had to be questioned by this committee, with a number of questions raised around monies that have not been accounted for. If only we can get a percentage of the 210 trillion naira OG, it would fund the 2026 budget, which is just at 68.32 trillion naira. And so you can understand just how much money, based on this committee findings, has been funneled through the NNPC over the years, and that unfortunately we do not have any accountability for. Let me give the NNPCL the benefit of the doubt, and let's assume that it is just a matter of reporting. So let him come in the matter of integrity to clear his name and for accountability purposes to Nigeria, and explain what happened, if that is indeed a sum of money, because that money is outrageous in the nature. But beyond that is what happened. We've often talked about the fact that the NNPC is opaque, reporting. Thankfully, that has changed under the Bayo Julari leadership, because now they release quarterly reports, they release statements, they are able to give Nigerians at least updates regularly. But I believe that the Senate has done well in its oversight functions. But like we said yesterday, with the Oji Uzo Kalu panel, the same thing here. We don't just want shouting matches. We don't just want, this big display on TV, and then we end here. We want a conclusive end to this matter, a full accountability report given to Nigerians, and for me, most importantly, would be how do we plug the leakages? How do we strengthen our institutions so that we're not coming back to the Senate like this to be probing missing money? Why should money be missing in the first place? Why were audits not done? We don't want after the fact. We want prevention rather than cure. That's why I feel that we should be going, and this is what these Senate hearings should be geared towards. How do we prevent? How do we strengthen institutions? How do we increase accountability in institutions like the NNPCL so that we don't have to come back to this kind of situation again? That's the importance of these kinds of hearings. Recover money and also prevent it from happening again.
So real quickly, I see a lot of grandstanding going on. At first, I will be surprised if you get to the end of this 210 trillion.
We can only ask.
The truth is you will not get to the end of it. You know why? Because the number itself is phantom. Let's be realistic. When you look at the NNPC books, and I think it was even Mele. I have a lot of things against Mele, all right? Because this was Mele that promised in 2019 that I assure you that the refineries will work, and it was Panda refinery they gave us. But the number is very phantom. It was Mele too that also started releasing the books of NNPC that we started seeing. And those books were seen over the years. So this phantom 210 million, it's not today. 210 trillion, it's not today. We always hear phantom numbers that when you see the numbers, they not add up. Dr. But you remember what's it called? Post-stamp number, stamp duty. You remember how they push up the phantom figure of stamp duty? It was a ridiculous amount. So what came out of it? Nothing. So it's a lot of grandstanding. But I think also what we should do is to give account of what those subsidies regime and the under-recovery regime was. That's what I'm always about. And that's why you see, that's why I have qualms with President Tinubu over removal of subsidies. Because I see all of this noise we are making now at the National Assembly was what President Tinubu ought to have investigated about the subsidy regime before he finally started saying, okay, we're pulling out subsidy and the corruption in the system that was perpetrated by NNPC. But what did President Tinubu do? He kept Mele on for a couple of years now. Afterwards, didn't he keep Mele on? So in the end, Oji and Ayo, it's going to be a lot of grandstanding. Right. At first, the number is phantom. NNPC has released their books over the years since that, I think 2019 or 2020 up to this time. The books are there in public. I don't think there's any 210 trillion surfacing anywhere. And I will be surprised if that 210 trillion exists. Right, Dr. Bati, you know the drill. Under your time, it was how much? $20 billion, did they say? Did the money ever come out? That the CBN said that the NNPCL was not $20 billion. From there, when the audits came in, how did the number come? Did it not reduce to about 10 billion at some point or 5 billion? So it's not today phantom numbers fly around in this country.
But we need accountability.
Very quickly, Ayo asked a question. Yeah. She said, where is Mele Kyari?
That's the right question.
I think this day newspaper already answered that question. I think in yesterday's paper, when, there's a story about the arrest warrant that had been issued against the former group managing director of NNPCL. And what the story says is that Mr. Mele Kyari has already responded that, one, he has not received any invitation, nor has he cited any invitation from the Senate Public Accounts Committee. But now that they have brought up the matter, he had written on May 11, 2026, the story says, to say that he's attending to his health abroad, that he's receiving medical treatment abroad.
I don't say where the money come from.
No. But that he will be able to make himself available at any time that he's in the country and that he's not on the run. The second thing that the This Day story stated is that, look, Mr. Kyari said, in fact, nothing untoward happened under his watch, that instead he met an organization that he turned into a profitable enterprise and that he will be ready to defend himself whenever he's back in the country and he will make himself available. Another person, the former chief financial officer of NNPC, Umar Ajia, I think the story is also in the papers. Umar Ajia is his name. Now, he has also responded to say that as the chief financial officer, he has whatever documents that they can ask for. And that in any case, you know, the figures 210 trillion that the National Assembly is quoting, that these are figures from, you know, unedited queries, and that he said categorically in what I read that there is no money missing. In fact, Umar Ajia went a step further, that he is personally calling on the EFCC and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, to investigate thoroughly, you know, their tenure under Mele Kyari, and then they will find that there is no money that is missing. So we have two sides of the story. Senator Oshiomhole, who seconded the motion about all of this inquiry, you know, then said everybody is a thief in NNPC, and that the reason people want their children to work in NNPC is because NNPC is a house of thieves. Well, that may fall under the category of group libel. Yeah. I don't want to imagine that everybody working in NNPC is dishonest or corrupt. After all, one or two or three of us will have some people there that we know are just trying to build a career.
Our Sunday Oyi is there.
And doing honest work. So group libel, you know, has its own limitations. Right. But the distinguished senator was speaking out of emotion, and he received wisdom that some Nigerians, after all, some people on this table use the word so that some appointments are juicy, some appointments are lucrative.
And that is the biggest problem here.
Yeah, it's the Nigerian way
appointments
of thinking.
And the, you know, politics and the price we all have to pay as Nigerians, because it is so enticing to be in these positions. People just want to steal.
And the lack of accountability lack of suffer.
Yes.
That's even the most painful.
I mean, but you know, the senator's spoken. They want to arrest Mele Kyari, dead or alive. Now to politics. Publisher.
You arrested that
person. Hey, you can arrest the cops. They arrested the cops.
That's what I said.
Remember one time.
There's a lot of
okay,
grandstanding.
all right.